Good evening and welcome. We begin today's news wrap and update with a good news. The South Africa Reserve Bank announced today a major rate cut at 25 basic points effective September 20. That is tomorrow. And today in Africa, our inflation is at 4.4%, which is close to the bank's target point of 4.5%, a significant, important move in the country policy. The announcement, of course, come on the heels of the U.S. Federal Reserve Jay Powell announcement yesterday of a rate cut of 50 half a point. That we significant milestone. This is the first time of that significant rate cut since March 2020, which was during at the early stages of the pandemic, and this is an indication signaling that as we know, the U.S. economic has been recovering, and this will significantly impact inflation, bringing down inflation significantly. Of course, the inflation has been coming down since June 2022. It has significantly come down since June 2022, which is right now at 2.5% right now from 9.1% in June 2022. And the Chairman Jay Powell also said there will be more rate cut between now and 2026. And President Biden today in remarks at the Economic Club of Washington, where he spoke to members. Most of the members of the club are leaders, Wall Street, as well as called other corporate leaders, where I attended. President Biden in his remarks said yesterday was an important day for the country, and 2.5 years after yesterday was an important day for the country. In my view, it was good news for consumer as well, and the overall economic, because it lower borrowing cost will support economic growth. As we know, this cuts or the U.S. rate cuts, the world has been watching, given that the U.S. economic is the largest economic in the world and the most one that has recovered so far from the advanced economic. So all the world central banks were paying attention to this, and in Africa, South Africa is one of the top advanced economic in Africa. So to have the two countries move regarding the rate cut, we have significant impact on inflation and economic growth, bringing reliefs to a lot of consumer, a lot of people as well. And speaking of economy, Kenya is discussing access to concessional financing, debt sustainability, and scaling up government social investment program with the World Bank. As we've reported, the World Bank President Ajay Banker met with President Biden, was at the White House earlier this week, and met with President Biden for a discussion on reducing global poverty, as well as boosting financing for developing economics. And this is a topic that the President Biden will address next week at the UN General Assembly as well. So we wanted to, that story, we are also paying closer attention to that story. African Development Bank delegation met today with the Nigerian Finance Minister in Nigeria, Mr. Wale Edu, to explore various areas of cooperation, of partnership to tackle Nigeria economic challenges, as well as strengthening food security and other programs in the country. So that's another story that we will be paying closer attention to in this week and in coming weeks. Sierra Leone and Islamic Development Bank signed a 40 million deal to boost Sierra Leone lifestyle industry. This is a huge investment for the country. Sierra Leone, which is in West Africa, a small country in West Africa, and decades ago was in war, and since then have recovered and continue to improve its economic work, to improve the lives of its people. Last month in August, Sierra Leone was the president held the presidency of the UN General Assembly and used the opportunity to urge leaders advance economy regarding issue concerning Africa, regarding South Sudan, and regarding Sudan and the situation in Sudan and South Sudan, as well as calling for more seats for permanent seats for African countries. And this is something that, earlier this month that the Ambassador Linda Thomas Greenfield said the U.S., President Biden previously announced that it supports such move, and the announcement this month that endorsing the supporting 2 permanent seats for African nation on the UN General Assembly. I believe this also will be part of the conversation next week at the UNGA high-level meeting. Another story that we're paying closer attention to, even though this is not in Africa, it does affect gender equality and investment. The European Investment Fund announced approved $1.2 billion financing, the first ever public benefiting green tech startup, and support for female-led venture capital funding in tech company. So again, this is a major news. We are giving that we have in the US, where they are just not in the US, we know that across the world, when it comes to investment and financing and access to capital, there has been significant deficit when it comes to women businesses, women-owned or women-led venture capital. So this, the European Investment Fund, a major a major bank in Europe, investing $1.2 billion in to support female-led venture capital funding in tech. Is significant, and we will continue to update on this and follow this story. Namibia president today met with the Namibia president Nagolo Mba met with the UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres ahead of the UNGA. They met today. Another story that we are focusing on is Jordan. The World Health Organization declared that Jordan has eliminated leprosy, a milestone and the first country to do so in the whole wide world. So this is significant news as we talk about other health issues around the world regarding mpox, regarding cholera and other non-communicable diseases across the world. So this is, as Dr. Tedros said in remark, that this is a major milestone. Tomorrow, we reported yesterday that First Lady Dr. Jill Biden we host the cast of West Wing at the White House, and now it was reported, and I believe we reported out also yesterday that the First Lady will be leading a delegation, a U.S. delegation to Mexico to attend the inauguration of the first female president of Mexico on October 1st. So this wrap up our news for today. This week we reported on that. We are still waiting for a more in-depth readout. The U.S. and Kenya met, trade offices ministry met virtually this week and in person. Ambassador Catherine Tai, we reported that yesterday, met with her counterpart virtually, and the deputy USTR for Africa also traveled to meet with the counterpart to discuss the U.S.-Kenya strategic bilateral trade negotiation that have been ongoing for a while now, and we bring updates on that news once we have that also. So again, this wrap up our news for today. Apology for coming to you late today, but I hope you have a good evening or you have a good day if you're waking up in other parts of Africa. And I will see you tomorrow. I'm Kemi Oshukoya. Thank you very much for watching. Have a good night.